need to eat more meat. So with time, when you are constantly consuming the meat that is an outcome of Bali, you will stop needing to perform Bali. And then at a point you will say that there is no need, I'm not going to go through that entire hassle to eat that meat, I don't need to eat it. Should we move away from materialistic goods? No, you don't need to move away. Yes, this generation is definitely brainwashed, because I remember what a pizza was even before I saw a pizza. You see, advertisements of Domino's and these cheesy, long, stretchy pizzas. And these advertisements were put where? In Cartoon Network, Hangama, Pogo, all these channels where we used to watch. Because the generation it targeted was 10 years later. When they came into India, they advertised in such a way that 10 years later, the children who are going to grow up are going to eat our food. Okay, it was a long game for them. Everything we experience is an outcome of consumerism today. Okay? If you want to improve the economy of the country, spend more money. Want more things. Desire more things. The desire is the basis of our economy. The more you desire, the more money the country will have. Consumerism is an outcome of the state's desire to earn money. Now there is something called climate anxiety. Every year there is a new high on the highest temperature recorded in history. So when there is true freedom, when there is contentment within the self, the nature of consumerism will meet its own end. So the question is it okay to run behind material goods? Because you feel that this generation, or this generation, our generation, maybe the ones that are coming now, Gen Z, I guess, is it healthy for them to move towards more material possessions, more bhoga, essentially? See, which generation hasn't moved towards bhoga, actually speaking? Okay. Our parent generation also moved towards bhoga and the greenhouse effect, and the global warming is a stark reminder of that. Their parents also moved. The Industrial Revolution is a stark example of that. Colonialism is a stark example of that. So we have all been moving towards bhoga. We have all been moving towards material possession only. So much so that even in India, in Bharat, ancient Bharat, kings, of course it was their responsibility, but the kings would expand kingdoms. Traders would trade for money. So everybody is for material possession. Like the skilled workers would work in their own way for money. So you're always trying to accumulate material possession only. But to what extent is the question? To what extent should we allow ourselves to embody this requirement for more goods, for more substance, for more stuff? And at what point do we say, so far and no further? Or rather, thus far and no further. No more. To what extent? See, different people are made in different ways. Some people need more things mentally, and some people are fine with having less things. Does that mean that the person who needs more necessarily has to get everything they need? No, not necessary. So what we do is we create a boundary for ourselves. Okay. Within that boundary we say that, see, I want to get something, I want to achieve something, I want something. But I'm going to get that in limitation. Okay. And I'm going to have a boundary around that and say that within this boundary I will take care of whatever I need. Just hold on. There's a bear or something. We should move towards yoga through bhoga. Okay. Let me take this question with a little more spiritual twist. Okay. So, in Dharma, in Sanatana Dharma, we understand that the moment that people are different. That is what we understand, essentially. that different people have different needs, desires, wants, okay, and priorities. But the Shastra means that which gives us a blueprint upon which we must act. Sashanat iti Shastram. So the Shastra is for everybody actually. It is not for only for the saints. It is not only for the gurus and the acharyas. It is for everyone. So it is for the people who are vegetarian. It is for the people who eat meat. It is for the people who want to attain mukti. It is for the people who want to live within this samsara, within this world. So the Shastra is for everyone. And it accommodates everybody. So if a person is so attached to eating meat, for instance, does that mean that that person is never going to attain mukti, attain liberation in this world? Okay. That is where we come from. No? Because when the moment you ask, why materialism? So the secular society is all for materialism. Okay. So essentially the moment you use the word materialism or needing things and so on, you are giving it a spiritual twist. Okay. You are asking in that framework, mindfulness, this, that and so on. So again, does a person who consume meat not attain mukti? Or rather, don't they deserve to attain mukti also, to go towards the path of liberation? What if they are not able to hold themselves back? So then what the Shastra does is it gives a framework and says that if you want to eat meat, you eat this and this meat and no other. Like monkeys are not part of the meat that are consumable, for instance. In the Ramayana, there are 5 different kinds of meats that can be consumed. Goat, consumable. Okay, let's assume. Now, but how do you consume that goat? You have to perform bali. It has to be done in a very specific set of ways as an outcome of a yajna or a fire sacrifice. So every time you want to eat meat, you have to go through that entire fire sacrifice, you have to do everything, and then you do the bali and then you eat. And then that meat is consumed as prasadam, as offering to the deity. Because it has been offered to the deity, it has a certain guna to it. It has a certain quality to it. That quality will reduce your need to eat more meat. So with time, when you are constantly consuming the meat that is an outcome of bali, you will stop needing to perform bali. And then at a point you will say that there is no need. I'm not going to go through that entire hassle to eat that meat. I don't need to eat it. Because the quality that you start imbibing has changed from a point where you are a meat eater to a person who is like, it's okay, if it's not there, it's not there, it's not a big deal. So the question when you ask, should we move away from materialistic goods? No, you don't need to move away. You just need to be aware of what you need and want and create that boundary. Okay. Where you say that I like good clothes. So I'll buy 1 or 2 sets of clothes. And I will take care of these clothes. And I will use them until they are unusable. Then I will discard them and then I'll buy new clothes. I get to wear good clothes. Maybe I have 10 different set of clothes. Let's say I buy 20 instead. Good ones. And then I keep shifting them in such a way that nobody will ever know that you have the same set of clothes also. Instead of buying, fast fashion over and over again. I know people who buy fast fashion, like they'll buy 10 different dresses. They'll never use some of them. They'll throw it. They'll never use it. It's come and it's gone. It's unused. The tag is also not out. Okay. So do we want to be consumers of that kind? We don't, probably not. So if you are, spiritually, if you are a person of consumption, a person who desires consumption, then you say that I am going to consume, whatever I am going to consume, I am going to offer it to the deity or to Bhagavan or something. Generally we work like that. Okay. And when we move towards this kind of nature, then the nature within also reduces. This is that we don't need this much. less is enough, and you move towards that. So gradually move away from materials. Don't try and move away from materials suddenly. Every time you buy clothes, every time you buy shoes, every time you buy bags, you tell yourself, this is unnecessary. I have a bag. And when you repeat that over and over again, at one point you'll be like, this is unnecessary. Why am I buying it? And then you'll be like, it's okay now. I don't need to buy it anymore. Every time you do that, you bring that to practice. Every time you say that I want to go out and eat something, you tell yourself, I want to go and I will eat now, but this is unnecessary. This is not right. This is not right for me, not right for my mind. And then with time, you'll start moving away from it. In India, a lot of people turn vegetarians very easily. You know why? Because at home, they know that the meat is not doing them very good. Their body, the meat is not doing good. Yes, it's giving them proteins, it's giving them so many things. But it's not doing good for a variety of other reasons. Health-wise, it takes a long time to digest. Pressure on the body. Healing takes more time. Of course, you're killing an animal. If you look at it a little more subtly, then that animal was in fear. It was in pain when it was killed. So you are going to imbue that fear and pain that comes with the meat. Okay, and with time, anxiety will develop. All these things may develop. Why? Because that is what the animal was in that state when you chopped its head off. Some people don't even chop the head off. They slice it for so long until they bleed to death. That's a terrible way to do it, but it's done nevertheless, isn't it? Move towards that. And in India, people are not, that's the thing. Why in India they are not is because if you look at if you go to any traditional family, even the ones who eat meat, many of the traditional families, they will say that, yes, I know it's not good to eat meat, but I'm not able to hold, so sometimes I will eat. You see, because the thing is there at the back of the head, that no, I need to stop at some point. So by the time they're 45, 50, when they realize that, okay, this is impacting my health now. All this while my young body was able to take it, now it's impacting my health. So I will stop. It becomes very easy for them to stop. In the West, it's not the same. Because they've been eating, they don't think that it is bad. I mean, of course, this vegan culture has suddenly boomed there, definitely. And people are becoming more aware. But the traditional family is there. They always felt that the meat is something that is a staple. So, in the when they come to a come of age, where they say that, okay, from now on, meat is not good for me, it's going to cause me problems. It's like, it's okay, I'll still consume. They'll continue. They find it difficult to move away from. Okay. That's because the approach to consumption is different. Yes, this generation is definitely brainwashed because I remember what a pizza was even before I saw a pizza. You see, advertisements of Domino's and these cheesy, long, stretchy pizzas. Those were the things we always yearned for. Like we never knew how it tasted. We always wanted to know how it tasted. And these advertisements were put where? In Cartoon Network, Hangama, Pogo, all these channels where we used to watch. So when our generation when grew up, if you look anywhere in the world, anywhere in India, Domino's is always functional. Why? Because the generation it targeted was 10 years later. When they came into India, they advertised in such a way that 10 years later, the children who are going to grow up are going to eat our food. Okay, it was a long game for them. Everything we experience is an outcome of consumerism today. Okay? If you want to improve the economy of the country, spend more money. Want more things. Desire more things. The desire is the basis of our economy. Okay? And we are rightfully so in terms of, in the case of how our society is functioning now, how the state is functioning. The more you desire, the more money the country will have. That is how it is going, right? The less you need, see, if you don't need anything, you'll go to a forest, you'll just cut a few trees, you create a small house, you do some little farming, and you'll be able to sustain life very well. That's enough. You're not impacting society, you're not impacting the prakriti, you're not impacting nature. But what is happening is, you are told that you have to go to school. That means you have to learn that there are cities, that there are luxuries within cities, and in these cities there are malls. In these malls there are shopping complexes where you go and buy things. Why? Because you need to need them. You need to desire them. You need to have a fancier car. Just the car that you have is not enough. You need to have more. Then you need to have good food. Apparently there is bad food and good food. Of course, not in terms of the quality and the nutritional value of the food, but how it tastes. So the worse the nutritional value, the more the trans fat, the better it tastes. Okay, and that is what we want. The more sugar we want. Okay, we allow companies like who sell tobacco and alcohol to advertise through their water companies. Okay, and start increasing tax on sugar. When they need to increase tax on sugar to such a degree that they should not be able to advertise anything which is a high calorie diet, which is not good for you. But we don't do that because that brings money to the state. Okay, so essentially this, not just this generation, all generations today are brainwashed into wanting and needing more. Okay, they don't really need it. So it is a false need, it's a pseudo need. It apparently is necessary. Phone is apparently a necessity. Not necessarily, it is not. But it has become a necessity. Why? Because now UPI, without the UPI, how are you going to pay? We are going to become a cashless economy. Yes, there are brands which are making these dabba phones which can still do UPI. But how many of us are trying to go for those? Because everywhere scanners, this, that and so on, it's becoming a problem. So smartphones are becoming more of a requirement. Are they a requirement? Not necessarily. You can still do without them. But it is an ease, it's a convenience. So essentially, consumerism is an outcome of the state's desire to earn money. Okay. So when we realize that and recognize it, then our generation can see that the more I desire, the more imprint, the more carbon imprint I leave on this earth. Okay, the more emission of carbon I leave on this earth. Without taking it back, without planting enough trees, without doing the needful. You see, how many tons of carbon is being emitted every time you take a flight? From, let's say, Siliguri to Bali, for that matter. How much carbon is being emitted? What am I going to do to recapture that carbon from the atmosphere? How many trees do I need to plant and how long is it going to take? Just a question. We don't ask these questions because we are taught not to ask. Because if we were to ask these questions, there's something called climate anxiety. People they are in a state constantly anxious because of how the climate is deteriorating over a period of the past 10-15 years. Okay, how every year there is a new high on the highest temperature recorded in history. So our generation is moving towards consumerism in a way that is detrimental to our civilization, overall civilization, the human civilization, of course the animal as well. So if at all we must navigate consumeristic mindset, we must recognize that minimalistic mindset is the way to go and come out of the consumeristic mindset in a way that fulfills your desire for consumption and through the process remove the desire within you. And when you remove that desire of consumption or whatever, food, shelter, whatever, then you really become free. Because freedom is about being enough within yourself. The moment you need something else, there is an absence of freedom. So true freedom is being content within the self. Understand? So when there is true freedom, when there is contentment within the self, the nature of consumerism will meet its own end.